Everyone. Hi, everyone. Let me just click continue here. My name is Sarah, and I'm the maker behind Handmade by Sarah Kim. And I specialize in making paper flowers for events, installations, special occasions. And then I teach them so that you guys can make them for special occasions and events. I do have a handful of different tutorials on my YouTube page, on my Instagram, and I actually teach them in person through workshops and through online workshops. Today's class, we're going to be going through the paper poinsettias, pine cones, pine needles, and the berries. Hopefully we have enough time for all of them. But I wanted to kind of show you guys what they look like. This is the potted poinsettia paper. And then I have a little arrangement. And I even have like this little Christmas tree that I've been working on. So I just wanted to show you guys this. And our final look will be this wreath here. And I have a small version of it and a big version of it behind me. So throughout the class, we'll be going through some of these holiday paper flowers, and hopefully you guys have enough time to make some for your friends and family. I love making paper flowers. That's my specialty. But overall, I'm a very lover of DIY, everything DIY. So I do kind of like making little bits of things. But paper flower is kind of like the one thing that I really love because I like just the idea of making stuff out of paper. So, all right, let's get started. I'm going to go through some of the materials. I'm going to put this behind me so you guys could see some of the samples. All right. We'll go ahead and, yeah. So the materials, I guess before I get started, if you guys have any questions, you guys could feel free to ask me on the chat and ask me. You could either email me or direct message me after the class also. The materials, I love that Michaels has these paper packets that are perfect for the holidays because they have all these assorted red cardstock paper. And I do like to use the 65-pound cardstock paper. I also love this brown one here. That's for the pine cones. And you could have assorted different brown color pine cones also. So I do love these packets, and I'm going to be using the paper that I use from these packets here. I believe they also have a green packet that I really like too, but today I'm actually going to be using a 12 by 12. I'm pulling that up. A 12 by 12 that I found all in the open cardstock section. So you guys could find this. This is a really nice green, and usually they tend to be in the open cardstock section. So you guys could check that out. It is a 12 by 12. But if you don't have all these materials, you can always just either paint your paper or get creative. You can use different colors. Usually the red and green and brown is like a common color for everybody. And then we are going to be needing this wreath. It is a 8-inch or a 10-inch or so, but they have different sizes available. Like this itty bitty one is so cute, and then the one behind me was a 16-inch. So you can get creative with these wreaths as well. All right, let's get started. I have this scratch paper. I also have this template available for you guys to just go through with me with the sizes. I'm going to start with the yellow tissue paper. So I did mention in the supply list that we needed some tissue paper. If you guys don't have yellow tissue paper, you could always use the white one and paint it. So I'm going to take the yellow tissue paper. I'm going to cut out like about 2 inches on a little strip. I'm going to cut out another 2 inches off. The best part about this craft is nothing is perfect, and you can get, I do embrace the flaws, the handmade look, because there's no flower that's perfect. So Don't worry about it being a perfect line or a perfect cut. Wrinkles is totally fine. So we have this yellow 2-strip. It's about the size of my 8x11 piece of paper, if you can see the sizing there. And then I'm going to cut this into 5 pieces. So by doing that, I'm going to be cutting up basically 5 squares. They're almost squares, almost rectangles. So 5 pieces each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the same thing to this. And notice I am not measuring anything out. Like I said, it's totally okay if it's not perfect because you won't be able to see it after anyways. All right, then we're going to get the green marker. This is a fancy marker that I'm not using for fancy purposes, but it is the Tombow one. You don't have to use this exact green marker. You can actually just use whatever green marker you have. It could just be like a a kid brand. It's totally okay. This is actually probably for like lettering, but I use it to color. So, all right, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making little circles. And you want to be gentle because you don't want to make the tissue paper soaked with the ink because then it'll just tear apart. So you just want to be gentle enough. One little circle, very easy so far. Then I'm going to kind of color in the outside of the circle. We're going to be I'm doing this on top of a scratch paper, by the way, because you might get some ink on your table. If your table is white like mine, I don't want you to ruin your table. I have a little scratch paper. And notice I'm just doing about 1 stroke per line because you don't want the tissue paper to be soaked with ink. And we have 5 squares now done. So notice again, it's not perfect. There's stroke marks everywhere and it's totally okay. And then I have a red marker. Again, this is a little bit fancier than a regular marker, but I am using the Artist Loft markers. You don't need the exact marker. You can just use red Sharpies or red whatever marker you have. And I'm just putting a little few dots on the center. It's so small you can't even see it. I studied the poinsettias when I wanted to make these out of paper, and I was able to see that they had these yellow dots inside, like a yellow circle with red dots, and the outer layer was green, and that's kind of how I decided to make it into this look. So basically, I just turned the outer layer green, the inner layer yellow, and then I added a couple red dots. If you wanted it to be a green tissue paper, you can't make it yellow in the center. So I have to start with the yellow tissue paper, then add the green, then add the red circles. That's basically why I'm doing these little shapes. All right, so we're gonna make it, we're gonna let it dry and put that to the side. And then these 5, I'm going to quickly just ball up. So just ball it up like this. Nothing fancy. So just scrunching up the paper. And we're going to have 5 of those. All right, and then I'm going to put that to the side. All right, then let's get the red paper. We're going to put the scratch paper aside. We're not going to be coloring anything else, so I'll leave that on the ground. We're going to have the red paper now. We're going to be cutting the leaves for the poinsettias. starting from the red shape. So we're going to fold this into threes, but it's going to be a small, medium, and large. So I'm going to kind of eyeball on the short side a small rectangle, and then maybe like a medium and then a large. So when you open it up, there's an obvious large side, a medium side, and a small side, and that's going to be my 3 sizes of the poinsettia leaves. We have a small, medium, and large on the short side of the 8x11 paper. And then we're going to take the short one first. And I'm going to fold it into threes. And I'm going to be cutting this small size. I did have this available for you guys. I don't want you guys to cut it out and then trace it after, unless you really want to. I do want you to kind of just eyeball the shape. It's going to be like a stem and then like a leaf shape that has a pointy tip on the top, and then it kind of points down on the bottom. So if you really want to, you could actually take a pen and kind of draw out a similar shape. But don't forget the stem on the bottom, okay? You don't have to draw it out, but I'm just doing it for you guys for the first one. But after the second one and the third one, we're just going to eyeball it, okay? So then on the folded 3, I'm going to cut out the stem and then swing it over into a leaf shape, pointy tip on the top, and then round it out and then bring it down, and it has the little stem on the bottom. And they're little, very little leaves. I'm going to stack this up, put this to the side. I'm going to take the second one, and this will be the medium size. You just want it to be obvious enough that there is a small, medium, and large. Nothing has to be perfect, so you don't have to sit there and measure that out though, okay? All right, I'm going for it. There is my medium. Might be a little bit bigger than medium, but it's okay. Then do the same thing, fold it into threes. And then cut the large leaves. And it's a little bit bigger than the medium one. Notice once you cut through the folds, they should have 3 separated leaves per layer, the small layer, the medium layer, and the large layer. All right. So then I'm going to go ahead and take this stack and fold it into the middle, just gently, just to create some texture. And I'm going to actually kind of crinkle it a little bit too, like this, just to have some leaf shape crinkles. I'm going to do it again with the next stack. Fold it in the middle, crinkle, kind of like a fan fold. Notice I'm not touching the stem side though, okay? The crinkles are on the top. And the same thing to the little one. The little one's so tiny, you could only just crinkle really once. And I do like this curling tool that I use. It's just a metal stick. It's actually for jewelry making. So if you guys do have any type of metal stick or like a curling tool for quilling, you can use that. Or you could even use your pen or wire stems to help you curl kind of the edges. So I'm curling it so it has some shape to the leaf. Then I'm going to take the green paper and I'm going to be creating the same shape as this large one. So I'm going to cut out like a similar width of that, the height of that. So You don't need this whole piece of paper. Again, I'm using the 12 by 12. So only because this green is really nice. It has like texture on it too. But you don't have to use the whole piece of paper. I'm doing the 3-fold again. I'm cutting out the excess and saving that paper because I do save all of my 12 by 12 paper because they are a little bit pricier. And then I'm going to cut out the same leaf shape as the largest one. I mean, I'm eyeballing everything, so it's similar. And I'm going to do the same thing to the fold, adding some texture and doing this little crinkle thing just to kind of have some creases down the middle. And getting my curling tool. Again, you could use a wired stem or a pencil, curling that. So now we are ready to kind of put everything together. I hope you guys have your glue gun plugged in. If you want to do this craft with little ones, you could do it with tacky glue, but it just takes a little bit longer. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these little balls. I'm kind of squeezing it down so they're a little bit tighter. Then I'm going to take this piece. And because it's tissue paper, it bleeds through, so it doesn't really matter what side you do it. I'm going to try to point to the ball to the little center there so that it kind of like sticks out in the top. And then squeeze that down and bring everything around. So I'm basically just wrapping the tissue ball with this green tissue paper. So it creates kind of this like rounded tip on the top. Looks kind of like a Q-tip to me. All right, we're going to do the same thing to the next one. We're going to do that again. I'm going to kind of try to place it right in the middle. And I twist the bottom to make it skinnier on the bottom there. So that's kind of what it looks like. And you can see all those little details that we added in the center. And I love the fact that the yellow and the green shows up. And if you look at the poinsettias, they really do have this detail. So it just makes it look a little bit more realistic instead of just having it plain yellow. Now, if you don't have the yellow tissue paper or any type of tissue paper, really, you can gently stroke marker onto the tissue paper and change the color. You just need to be careful you're not soaking the tissue paper because it'll just rip apart. So you just don't want it to get too soggy. All right. Oh, actually, sorry. The last one is the one that I don't do. I'm going to open it back up. And I'm going to grab a green wire. And you don't have to use this specific wire, but it is the 18 gauge floral stem. It already comes in this green color and it has like this cloth around it. But you could use gold wire, silver wire if you're into jewelry making, whatever wire you have at home. And then floral tape it after because you can't even see this. So I do like this type of wire. I also have some thin wire that I'll be using, which is a little bit thinner. And there's some that like already come covered in like craft paper. So those are really cute too. So you can use any wire you have. And I'm basically attaching this ball onto the stem. And then I'm going to do this to the last piece. Whereas those four, I just did it singly. So that one is attached to the stem. And then before I fully wrap it, I'm going to put some glue onto the stem. So it's kind of attached to the stem. And there you go. That's what it looks like. And you notice the center. And then I'm going to put glue around the rim of the bottom, not on the green. So around the bottom, just put enough glue so that you could attach all the rest of the pieces. You do want to do this really quick because your glue will dry down. So you can do one at a time if you want. So I attached all of them on there. I'm going to squeeze that down so that they're all kind of together. And then let's go ahead and grab our green floral tape. This is a dark green floral tape. You could use brown or green, like a dark brown. So what I do is I'm actually kind of covering up that yellow part. If you feel like you didn't cover enough of that yellow, you could go ahead and quickly draw in the green. All right, then we're gonna go from smallest to the green. So we're gonna take one at a time. We're gonna take one piece, and I floral taped a little bit already. And then I'm gonna take this, and I have enough of a stem that I could actually just floral tape. So that's what it looks like on the bottom there. And then I'm going to wrap it around once and then start attaching the second one. And because we are working in threes, you're kind of trying to create like a triangle. So there's this piece, and then this one could go where this part is. And if you look at the poinsettias, they do tend to kind of have a little bit of a stem, and it like sticks out, and it has little like spots that are open. And that's kind of what we're trying to create. And we're trying to move down the stem. So I'm going down the stem slowly. So the next layer, it's not going to be right below it. It's going to be a little bit lower than that. So there's like a gap. I don't know if you guys could see that, but there's a gap between the first layer and the height of the second layer. All right, and then we're going to stagger the sides. So I'm putting this second piece in between the three that I already put. And notice I'm going lower than the first layer. So what we're trying to mimic is that it's kind of like a little bit of a, like a plant rather than just a flower. So there you go. When you open it, you can see that it's lower than the first layer. I'm slowly going down the stem also while I'm floral taping this. And then the last three, I'm putting in between. I'm going to put that to the side. It's bothering me. Making sure that it's in between the lines or in between the petals from the previous layer. And this way, it kind of looks really realistic from that layered look. When you open it up, it like kind of has the little spots that are open. And to me, that's what screams the poinsettia. And then going down, I'm going to attach the last three leaves. You could add as many leaves as you want. Sometimes I like to add more if I'm going to be putting it in a pot because I want to see the green detail on the bottom. But since we're doing it on the wreath, I'm just going to do 3 leaves because you don't see the leaves on the bottom as much when you create the wreath. But if you want to put it in a terracotta pot, you can definitely make more leaves and make it kind of climb down the stem. All right, so I have all 3 stems on there, or 3 green leaves on there. And then I'm going to go ahead and floral tape the rest. The floral tape is always tricky. You want to stretch and squeeze at the same time. Like literally you're trying to activate the gum from the floral tape. So it's a little tricky, but you want to be stretching and attaching at the same time. All right, now is the fun part. You get to open everything up and see all that hard work that you put in. And there you go. And even from the side, it looks like poinsettias, like this. And then even from the top, it looks like poinsettias. And that detail in the center is perfect. All right. Then we're going to go ahead and put that to the side, and we're going to get some brown tissue paper, or brown cardstock paper. And again, I love that brown cardstock stack, paper stack, because you have different types of brown, so you can actually mix and match. And all right, we're going to fold this in the long way. This way. And I'm going to cut that in half. And then I'm going to cut this into 3 squares. I mean, they're not perfect squares, but it's good enough, okay? 3 squares. And I'm going to cut 1 more square off that other piece and save that paper. I save a lot of paper. I have scraps of paper everywhere. So there's my 4 squares. That's the one I'm using. And I'm going to take one of them, and I'm going to show you this trick where I'm going to fold this in half. Fold it in half again. So we folded it into 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what I'm going to create is a shape kind of similar to this part here. I'm going to circle it for you. That just the top part. But we're doing it on the folded edge. This is the folded edge, and this is the folded edge. This is the this is the edge, regular edge, okay? On the folded edge corner, I'm going to be drawing out this long heart shape. Hopefully you could see it through my camera, but it's this long heart shape that's kind of similar to this one piece. But notice I am not cutting the corner where it's folded. If you follow this, where it's kind of like this long heart shape with a little dent in the middle, like a scallop. You could, when you open it up, it turns into this shape. It's a little too big. I'm going to actually cut it down. Let's cut it down a little bit on the tip. All right. So you guys could take this shape and trace it and cut it here, but that's kind of the trick that I like doing. It's a little bit bigger than this, but it's okay. Okay. And then I'm going to take the second piece and do the same thing, but this time it's going to be shorter than this length. Okay, so let's do the same thing. I'm going to fold it on the folded edge. I'm going to go for the shape, the heart shape, and it's going to be significantly shorter. So let's measure it out. There you go. So it's a little bit shorter. And then I have my third piece, and it'll be shorter than that. Doing the same thing. And holding on to the folded edges and cutting a shorter heart. So if you have good scissors, usually they should be able to cut through this 4-layer. So you can tell that it's small, medium, and large. And then the last piece is the one where we're going to do just one fold and then cut out that shape from just the top. So it'll just be kind of like a long heart with the folded bottom. So this one is just like one piece. And notice all my shapes are kind of all over the place. It's a little crooked, but you won't be able to see. It's not, you don't need to make all of these perfect. But if you guys are wanting to make everything perfect, you could actually find some of these templates I have. I don't know where I put my... I don't know where I put my tool. So I'm going to actually just show you guys this. I'm going to do it with this piece here. All right, so I'm going to take, I'm just taking a wire and then curling each piece because I can't find my stick. So there it is. I'm just curling the shape in. And then I'm curling each little shape out on the top. And then we're going to do the same thing to every single layer that we have. So go ahead and open up your pieces. All right, and then taking each piece, kind of curling it out. And doing the same thing to the next one. And I do have these templates available for Cricut and Silhouette. If you guys have any cutting machines, you could check them out on my website. And you could have it just cut. But I do love freehand cutting a lot of my flowers because it kind of brings me a just like peace. It's like a weird way, like how people enjoy coloring. To me, I actually kind of enjoy cutting. So there's my 2 pieces. There's my curling tool. I have it. So I'm going to start from the bottom, actually. So this is the smallest one. I'm going to poke a hole through it. Yeah, I like this glue gun mat that you can find at Michael's also. It's kind of just like the silicone thing, and you can place your glue gun on here. And I like to poke my holes through it because it stops it from going through my table. So there's like a little hole on there. And I'm going to grab this other wire. And this tool comes with like a bunch of other tools. So I do like that. It is a jewelry tool kit, but I feel like you need all of these when you're making paper flowers. So it comes with pliers and wire cutters. So I curl the edge of the wire so that there's like a flat end. So my pine cone has a place to anchor onto. Then I'm going to put a little bit of glue gun on that curled tip, and then I attach it to my bottom of the pine cone. And this is how it anchors onto my pine cone. Then I'm going to go backwards. So I'm going to take the next size and glue on the bottom and attach on the top. And you want to start pressing up these petals of the pine cone while you're gluing it together. And then I'm going to grab the largest one and attach that to the inside of that. You want to be kind of folding up the edges so they all kind of come together. And then my last piece, it's kind of the weird one, but what I do is I kind of create like a flat side on the bottom right there. And then I attach the two on the bottom by gluing it together. But it's like towards the bottom of it, but also leaving this little side there. So this part is kind of like open, kind of like that. And then I put the glue on the bottom there and attach that to the center. And then you have your, and kind of gather everything up. And you can kind of go back, since I was not using my curling tool, and curl some of the pieces. And I found this really fun spray. I'm not going to spray it here because it does get kind of messy and I don't want my table to be messy. But I found this fake snow spray and I actually sprayed it onto my pine cones like outside. And it's so cute. It adds like a little bit of a white tip to it. So you guys could find that also at Michael's. All right, so, oh, and then we're gonna floral tape it brown. And if you don't have brown floral tape, you could use green floral tape because you can't really see the bottom anyways. But if you want it to be that perfected look, you can totally use that brown floral tape to cover it up. And it looks so good with the pine cone. And then sometimes if I like to just do it as a photo prop, I like to curl the bottom like that. There. All right, so far we have the brown pine cone, the poinsettia there. They look so cute together already. And then we're gonna go ahead and go to our holly berries. This, you will need red tissue paper. So again, if you don't have red tissue paper, you can use white tissue paper and then color it red. And sometimes what I actually like to do, I'm gonna cut out about an inch or so, or let's make it about 2 inches just so you have enough room. So there's my red tissue paper. And I'm going to grab my scratch paper again just to show you this technique. I'm going to cut that in half, and you can use kind of, I do like to have variety in colors to make it look more realistic. So sometimes I make a little bit of a different color by adding different shades of red. So it's not all the same color. So you can do this by adding different colors of red, and it kind of brings out like a different look. You can wait till that dries. So if you can see, this is my sample. Like one is a little bit darker than the other one. It's like the smallest little details. And I do love doing that stuff. We're going to go ahead and cut that into squares. And you do want to let it dry because it will, if it's too soggy at the moment, it'll just rip through. All right, then I'm going to do the same thing as I did for the center of the poinsettias, where I grab extra squares and then crumble it up. So it gets balled up, kind of like the way we did our poinsettia center. So I'm using extra scraps. The colored ones are the ones we're saving to wrap around it. So we're actually just going to try to make 3, and you guys could make more when we have time at the end, just so I could get you guys finished through the whole project. And then we're going to grab these thin wires because I do like the thinner ones for this. The thicker ones are too thick. So this is, I believe, I don't know if I wrote it on here. It is 22 gauge and it comes like in this bundle. And I do use that wire a lot for smaller details. But again, you could use any type of wire you have, and then we're going to floral tape it. I'm going to unball this. I like to use medium temperature. I actually have a glue gun that's discontinued that has kind of a nice temperature, but when it's too low, it dries up so fast. So I would say try to make it go higher, but you have to be safe because you don't want to burn your hands. Basically, I'm attaching these little balls onto the wire. Like that. All right, and then I'm going to grab the squares and cover that up. And then I would like to work in this like triangle first. So what I do is I put it in the center and then I turn it into like a triangle and then bring down the sides and then ball it up and try to squeeze it down on the stem so that the ball actually shows and then the stem is a little bit more discreet. And then we're going to do the same thing to the next one. Hopefully this is dry enough. If it's not dried, it usually rips. So you do want to be careful with that. The snow spray, let me grab that for you guys. It's so fun. But it does kind of get messy. So I would suggest you guys doing that outside or like on like a trash bag or something. I did spray some of my pine cones and it totally works. You just don't want to be moving it around too much. So there you go, my 3. And then you can use green floral tape or brown floral tape. I'm going to be using the brown one. And then I'm floral taping from the bottom of the circle of the actual berry. And then covering all of that excess tissue paper up. There's that. And then more floral tape. Just covering enough of it. And then the last one is the one where I'm going to start attaching the other 2. And then you can grab the other 2 and attach them together. And they're so cute at the end when they're paired with the 3. And if you can make a few more, you can totally try making that. And they look so cute with the rest of the look. Like that. So far, that's what we have. If you could make extras, they definitely help. You can make them smaller, larger. All right, and our last step is our pine needle. I'm going to grab the extra paper that I had left from the poinsettia, and I'm going to cut out about 1.5 inches or so. I'm not good at measurements, but I do have a ruler here just to show you guys. 1.5, maybe, somewhere here. So I'm going to fold that in half. And fold it in half again. And then this is the not so fun part though, unless you guys do like cutting fringes. But basically we're going to be cutting fringes now with the fold. But you're leaving about 1/4 of an inch or less on the bottom. And the reason why I folded it in 4s is so that you can do half the work. You don't want to be doing fringes all day. So the thinner the fringes, the better they do look. So the more work you put into it, the better it does come out. But basically I'm cutting these little fringes. Oh, and there's some pieces that might fall off, which is perfect for photo op though, okay? Because after when you're done, you could take some pictures and they look like they're actual pine needles that fell off. I'm cutting fringes all the way to the folded edge. And I'm going in about up to here, if you can see. And yeah, sometimes I make them too thick and they don't come out as cute. So usually the thinner the fringes, the better they look. I'm going to open it up and cut some extra fringes in between when it gets too hard towards the end. Maybe some extra ones if there are some left. And it is a weird skill that I picked up on. I'm actually really good at cutting fringes, only because I do it so often. So there's my fringes. All right, and then I'm going to grab another one of those green. This one, you do want to use this cloth one rather than a metal one so that it actually anchors onto your stem. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue and I'm going to kind of squeeze that on to the stem. Hold it down so that your stem's not going anywhere. You don't want this to like fall off later. And then slowly, I'm going to be rolling it diagonally. Notice it's not perfectly perpendicular like a box. It's kind of like a triangle. And that's kind of the placement you want while you're gluing it down, rolling it down. So you're gluing and rolling every so often. I'm actually not too sure about my scissors, but they're about 9 inches, I think. I think it's actually supposed to be like heavy duty scissors. They're not just like craft scissors. And I'm going to go ahead and keep rolling that down. I might actually stop a little bit before. And rolling it as tight as possible. And notice it's going down slowly. All right, I'm going to actually finish it off right here because I don't want it to be really long. So I'm just going to tear that off and then glue that on there. And you can go ahead and green floral tape that. Again, you don't have to if you don't want to, because you won't be able to see the stem anyways. I do like to kind of finish off everything neatly. So then what I do is I floral tape this part and then bring it down to the wire. And you could go ahead and open up all those fringes that you worked so hard on, because it is a lot of work for those fringes. And you can see all the little details with those fringes. All right. And then that 8-inch wreath, a blank one here. It's a nice little small one for your cubicle or for maybe like inside your house. We're going to start putting these together. I do want you guys to make a few more if you can, because they do look obviously better the more green we have. So I have a few here that I made. You can add a couple on each side. So I have 3 so far there. And then this poinsettia we made. I love how the poinsettias come out. You kind of stick them in just organically, and then you can take the excess wire and just kind of fold it into the wreath if you want. And then the pine cone, just kind of too long, so I'm going to cut it off. Attach that. And imagine that snow on there, because that would be really cute. It does perfect the look. So there's some pine cone. I made a itty bitty one for fun. Super cute. So you can kind of attach maybe 2 pine cones. And then the holly berries, you can try to stick them on there somewhere. Make sure you see the red sticking out. Kind of nice part is you can always adjust this whenever you want, because they're all made out of wire. All right. And then remember the the little pieces that I accidentally cut. That will be perfect for a little photo op there. They look like real pine needles. And if you guys check out my links, I do have some templates for your silhouette and Cricut. These are the little cedar leaves, and I cannot humanly cut this. So it's really nice to have the machine come in handy. You could attach a few of those here, and it totally perfects the look there. And lastly, I have some ribbon. Yeah, it's like I found this really nice white. It looks kind of like mesh, and we're going to go ahead and cut that and attach it somewhere. I like to kind of attach it like next to, in between the pine cone and poinsettia. And you could feel free to use any color ribbon you want. I just found this really nice, like mesh looking ribbon. I really like the texture of it, so I thought it would be cute. Making it into like a little ribbon. Okay. And the trend these days are always having the wreath a little sideways like that, so you can have it sideways like that. And ones that I showed you from before, the different sizes. You can try making the itty bitty version of that. It's the same instructions. And this one, I actually used little beads for it instead. But that's really cute. And I found these little wreaths also in the like floral section at Michael's. All right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me before we, I guess, finish off. Thank you guys so much. If you guys want to check out some of my other tutorials, I have a bunch of holiday ones. Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say change it to me. But yeah, if you guys want to check out some of my holiday ones, I have a bunch of different holiday paper flowers. Yeah, the mini wreath is so sweet. I love that one. It's definitely it's a cute gift topper, but it has to be for someone extra special. And the really big one, this one is about 16 inches. And I love how it looks in my room. It's kind of like my centerpiece right in the middle. I also have these like centerpieces. You can turn the same flowers into centerpieces in this wooden crate that I also found at Michael's. I also have a tutorial for my oranges, some of my eucalyptus. So there's plenty of different ways to incorporate some of these paper flowers, and it'll be a cute little centerpiece for your holiday dinner. Oh, and then the little tree. This is actually, oh, it got caught. This is actually the same as the cedar leaves that I was talking about. And I do have a tutorial for that on YouTube. So you guys could check out my website. And it should give you guys all these links. And this is through the Silhouette or Cricut. And this with the terracotta pot is perfect gifts for a holiday. I love giving this as party favors. So you can even attach like a little ribbon on here and it's like perfect. Make sure you face it forward so you can see all the details. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me, message me. And yeah, you guys could check out all of these different tutorials. I even have a template for each of these flowers as well. So yeah, this is kind of like the holiday bunch. And this is what we made so far. Yeah, and on the chat, there's all my information on there. Thank you guys. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, you guys could feel free to email me, message me, and you can quickly put it on the chat here also. Thank you. Yeah, if you guys make these flowers, please hashtag Let's Make Flowers. You guys could also tag me on Instagram and at Michael's store. My Instagram handle is Handmade by Sarah Kim, Sarah without an H. So if you guys tag me, I'd love to share your guys' final wreath. All right. If you guys don't have any other questions, I guess we could sign off.